Hello and welcome to Bricking It, Bellway's very own podcast, giving you a unique insight into the property building industry and life at Bellway. Today's episode is a bit of a treat because I'm joined by not one but two fabulous guests. With me are Louise Chamberlain, our Group Head of Sales Performance, and Vicki Hart, our Customer Care Director. We're diving into all things customer experience, how it's evolved over the years, the trends shaping it today, and of course, a few memorable stories along the way. Louise, Vicki, I'm so excited to have you both here. This is going to be a good one. That's the introductions over with. Let's start bricking it. I know you both a little bit, so more for the benefit of our listeners, can you just tell us a little bit about what you do here at Bellway, a bit about day-to-day life in your roles, and maybe a little bit about your career journeys to date? Vicki, I'm coming to you first.
Yeah, for me, I think customer care, I think the reason that it's so exciting, the reason I love it is every day is different. So a normal day for me, I could be spending my time split between going out to visit the divisions, spending time with the team, busy departments, helping support them with their systems, policies, some knowledge, managing expectations, looking at some of the rules and our regulations for the NHBC, NHQB and the Consumer Code. And then when I'm not out and about at the divisions, I'm in head office, usually a couple of days a week, working very closely with sales, construction, commercial teams, sharing data on defects, customer feedback, everything really to ensure that we continually improve the quality. We're striving to make the service that we're offering better for our customers. I'm also closely responsible for the management of the formal complaint process. So I do spend quite a bit of time with MDs and regional directors, helping them draft some of the responses. The reason I came into sort of customer care, I've been doing it for a long time now. Prior to sort of joining one of the major builders, I spent 12 years working with the NHBC, which gave me a good insight into understanding when things go wrong from an insurance point of view, and then taking the decision to come across to a builder to see what I could influence at the front end. So rather than sort of dealing with issues as they've gone wrong, how could we then look to improve that for customers in new builds going forward?
Did you ever think when you first started out you would end up as like customer care director for a big house builder?
Not at all. If I was thinking about my career journey, I did police cadets right way up to 18, was determined I was going to join the police force. And then, that didn't happen at 18. So started out working my way through customer focus, worked at an insurance company. Yeah, it's just evolved over the time. I've always been inquisitive and I want to know why. And I always push myself on wanting to learn more. I see me probably finish my career in house building would be my aim. But yeah, it definitely wasn't what I thought I'd start out with.
Interesting. Louise, what about you?
So much like Vicki, my role is extremely varied and it's evolved massively since I joined 5 or 6 years ago now. I share my time between supporting the divisions and collaborating with the leadership team at Group in sales and marketing. We meet weekly. I work alongside Alex Phillipson and directly for Matt Grayston, who is our Group Customer Experience and Sales Director. So we're a really tight-knit group. We travel the country visiting divisions, suppliers and also the group offices as well, both in Newcastle and London, with a view to driving sales, compliance to regulations, which is a big part of the job now, which has again evolved lots over the years, and most importantly improving that customer journey wherever we can. Anything that we can change that can create an improvement or a better situation is something we have full focus on. I also sit on some external panels as well, one being the Future Hub, which has got government representatives on as well, and it's a workflow I'm passionate about because I'm heavily involved with our product, which is the Artisan Collection, and through that the new technology and innovations that are coming through. So I then need to translate that into our sales world, so I'm sort of that connection between technical and sales as well. Prior to being at Group, I was a sales director in the Manchester division, so I can see both sides of the coin. It's given me insight into the divisional challenges, and then we can try and look how we can help them combat that from a group perspective and also group wide. It's mainly a supportive role, but one that's very varied. Our primary aim is always to seek out a better customer journey.
And what about your career journey? Did you start with thinking, sales is for me?
Whilst I was at university, I just got a part-time job on reception for a developer, and then that grew into drawing some D plans for the technical team. So I used to just go back and forth between doing my lectures to go and helping the technical team draw D plans, and then that grew from there. So when I finished my degree, which actually was in business and marketing, I then ended up with a full-time job at this house builder in the technical team, assisting the engineers. Then I was approached by the land department. So I trained up as a land buyer. And then around the recession hitting, we had a real drive on stock. And so we had to basically all hands to the pump, try and sell some houses. So there was some reshuffles. So I went over to help the sales team. And there was just a bit more of a route to progression that way. There just seemed to be more doors opening. There was a lot of land managers above me. When the market eased a little bit, I looked at the two and I thought, I've got more chance of going up the ladder in sales. And then an opportunity came up at Bellway a few years later to be a head of sales for a new fledgling division, which has become the Manchester division. So I joined a very, very small team in a very small office building. So I was there for 5 or 6 years and then moved over to group.
Now that's all great, right? But what I really want to know is, what are your go-to afternoon snacks? Vicky, what about you?
Well, I'm on a bit of a health kick. Protein snacks, you probably, my drawer's normally filled with something chocolatey. Protein brownies at the moment with a cup of tea, about 3 o'clock. Perfect.
Yeah, I suppose it depends whether I'm trying to be good or not. Grapes and blueberries, I love those if I'm being on a good day. On a not so good day where I'm just need some sugar, a nice digestive biscuit with a cup of tea, or I do like those, they're like orange skinny bars, like an orange sort of nugget type thing. I quite like those.
Good choices, both gone sweet. I like that. So we're here to talk about customer experience. And I guess first question is, what does exceptional customer experience in our industry mean to you? And what work is Bellway doing in this space?
We launched Customer First a few years ago as an internal initiative in Bellway and tried to focus everybody's minds, no matter what department you work in, even if you're not facing the customer on a day-to-day basis, that what you do will have an impact on that customer journey. So it was those behaviours and those mindsets to make sure that everybody realises what connection they've got to that process. And building from that, I think we are constantly striving for exceptional. What that looks like is changing all the time. It's evolving all the time. So we need to be nimble and move with that. We will know we've got it right when a customer doesn't feel like they're being handed from one department to another. So when they join Bellway through the marketing experiences, so whatever that first touch point is, right through to the end of their 2-year warranty period, it needs to feel like a seamless Bellway journey for them, where they've been taken care of no matter who their interface was with, in a similar fashion with a similar tone of voice as well as a business. So that to me is an exceptional customer service and something we're striving to achieve all the time. But like I say, the goalposts are moving. We need to be able to adapt as well.
Vicky, what about you?
I think the thing for me, from a customer care point of view, most of our customers will have an understanding or even an expectation that there will be some snagging in their home. They're aware of the build process. There can be shrinkage. It's not built in a factory setting. Lots of the products in there. So I think for me, with the exceptional service, it's about making sure we move from being reactive to those needs to actually showing that empathy and being much more proactive. And that's something we're really working on hard as a team. As Louise said, about having that sort of softer handover from the other departments. So understanding the customer when they first move in and working with the construction team and the sales team to make sure that we are fully abreast so the customer doesn't have to repeat something. So if there's a particular need that they have, that we understand what that is as well. They're not having to go through that process again. The ideal for me would be that a customer reports an issue in their home and that they don't ever have to chase us to find out what's happening. So they report it first time and we manage that right the way through the process for them.
So you've both seen the industry evolve. How have customer expectations shifted over the years?
I would say speed. It's no longer a case of them writing a letter in and an understanding it's going to take you a few days to be able to respond and get a reply. They expect that Amazon service. They want you available immediately. That in itself brings some of those challenges in terms of being able to manage that expectation. That's probably the greatest change. But then also thinking about AI is becoming a big part of how customers want to interact with us. They're using it to research issues that they've got in their home, and there's much more availability for them. They're using it to write a lot of the communication with us, share the photographs of things that they've had issues in their home. So that for me is probably coming through a lot more, and the speed of that change.
I couldn't agree more. In sales as well, I think customers certainly come into the sales offices a lot more informed before they've even stepped foot through the door. So we just need to move with them and communicate well with them as well. That's where integrity lies, and we set the scene early.
So you've mentioned AI. I just want to unpack that a little bit more. I know it has a real impact in lots of areas across our business, because I guess people become experts, but the quality of the information that's in the system or in the AI isn't always absolutely correct. So I'm just interested, we've talked about AI and I know that's a big trend. What kind of things are you seeing in regard to AI, and are there any other trends that you've noticed?
So one of the ones we've actually seen quite recently as an example is a customer had used AI to enhance the photograph that they were sending us of the issue in their home to make it look worse. I think, to try and get that reaction, get the speed of the response. And they must have put through something along the lines of show a waterlogged garden as if it's running as a stream. So the photograph that they actually sent through was of a patio set, the table and chairs, but underneath the patio table were fish, which had obviously been digitally enhanced onto the photograph, and they weren't actually flowing through someone's garden. So it just goes to demonstrate that when they want to try and get a point across or to get, a reaction, they can use it like that. We're also seeing that the actual responses back from them, they can change the tone of their response to more of a legal response. We've seen some cases where sort of case law has been quoted, which I think from a coordinator's point of view can be quite a challenge as well, to make sure that we're supporting the team in being able to respond to that type of query, I would say, in terms of the communication that we're seeing and the speed in which it comes through.
That must be a real challenge, to be fair. But I think in sales we are seeing there are positives to it as well in terms of how we can use it in our marketing channels and how we can respond to customers and interact with them. So there are advantages to it too. Aside from AI as well, social media and other platforms are a huge part of the process because, Pinterest and various other things where customers are inspired by various interior designs. Yes, people come into us with reams of things that they've seen and search for via AI, and sometimes it's factual and sometimes it's not. I think one of the biggest challenges in sales is to continually upskill the sales advisors to feel confident answering questions where people are maybe throwing what might feel like quite hard facts at them. Where before we were taking people on the journey, people would come through the door and know very little about it, where a lot of information is out there, what's correct and what isn't, what's enhanced and what's natural, and we've just got to sort of navigate through that, really, haven't we? So there's different ways of looking at it as a business, isn't there? We've got the reaction side of it and we've got the side where we can utilise it in a positive way.
So now buyers today are a lot more informed and have got higher expectations than ever. We know that they want this seamless, transparent journey from the first inquiry through to aftercare, and you've talked about that as well in terms of how you're working towards that. So exactly how are the teams doing that? How are they raising the bar to meet those expectations? What's the plan?
I think from a customer care point of view, I know I alluded to actually having sort of those contacts at early points, but managing that expectation as well in terms of what it will look like, making sure that they're aware of what the next steps are, who's going to be visiting, and building the relationship with them. Our coordinators are assigned to the developments that they're looking after, so it's a good opportunity to build knowledge of their customers. And the other thing for us is about sort of that availability. So, we have the telephone system, but a lot of customers will want to do a little bit of self-diagnosis themselves. So we have some really good videos. They've got issues in their home, being able to go on and sort of try and self-help. I know myself, if I've got an issue in my home, I'm the first person to be on YouTube to see if I can find out how to fix it. So, we need to make sure that we've got those tools available. But yeah, just letting them know who's going to be looking after them, I think is key. So they have that with the sales team and they have that with the site team, and it's just as important to have that with the customer care team as well.
That's nice. It gives them back a bit of control as well, doesn't it? And I think that would be important to me.
We're looking to mirror that very much so, but it's actually a really exciting time. There's lots of digital changes coming from a sales perspective and a marketing perspective. The key components to it is personal contact between Bellway and the individual, that they're not one of a big number. Very important to us within that journey. Tailoring that initial service, so really identifying the needs of this particular customer before we go any further, to make sure that we've married their needs up with the best possible product that we have available in that location for them, taking them through a specification that we think is really right for that local area and that market. And then layering that with what's being scoped out and built at the moment is for them to be able to choose their additions if they've reserved the property at the right time in the comfort of their own home and almost shop online. We want to be able to offer that service as much as possible. So that's the really exciting side of it, is trying to personalise that journey as much as possible. And whilst we are a really big company, we can take it right down to that one individual. And with an online platform, Your Bellway, they can see a visual of the property that they're buying, and it just takes it to that next level of feeling connected all the way through.
With Bellway's growth aspirations, and we've touched on this a little bit about the importance of collaboration, but how do your teams do it? And I suppose I would go further and ask, how do you do it?
I think where we're really fortunate for me is we've got a lot of data. And I think that really helps open up those channels of conversations with other departments, because, you're all looking and measuring things from the same platform, really. We get the data that comes through, from my perspective, like defects, customer satisfaction information. We have monthly meetings to catch up and share data, reports that go out. I like to try and get out around the divisions as well. It's a good opportunity then to not only meet with the heads of customer care, to meet with the MDs, the sales directors as well. It's more around, how do we share the data? What are our customers telling us? What are the defects telling us? How do we continually improve? One that's really important is understanding sort of that customer journey in that early stages. It will be a weekly call with construction, the sales and the customer care team, that are responsible at that development level.
We try and mirror that at group, don't we? So if we've got those relationships interdepartmentally between customer care, construction and sales, then you can sort of almost set in a standard and expect them all to do the same. I think there's a lot of mutual respect for us as a team. We've got quite a small group sales team. So Matt, Alex and myself will visit divisions and then share that knowledge between us. And that is data driven as well. We can see where potentially there is support needed. That might be a division's specific development that's got a problem. We can put a strategy in place to assist. And similarly with new teams, new starters, understand Bellway's practices and policies and guide them through, help them feel part of the team. So there's lots of different aspects to the levels of communication that we need to have.
I guess we've touched on this as well a little bit, but I just wanted to go into a bit more detail around, we've talked a little bit about technology and how that's shaping the customer journey through social media, AI. I suppose, what else is going on in that space in terms of aftercare and in sales?
There's a couple of things we're working on at the moment. We're really keen to get a customer care portal where they can get those updates coming through. Again, it's tying in their whole customer journey from that first stage through the sales process. We're also looking at building more videos for them to be able to sort of self-help around the home. That's what customers want, and it gives them that flexibility, and they're not restricted to the times. We all know ourselves, sometimes that can be quite challenging in being able to sort of make an appointment or to contact someone to register something, in the normal working day. But having that platform as well will make it a lot easier for the customers as well, and give them back that ownership for their home, which I think, will be really important.
Yeah, I think tying into Your Bellway is the key thing there. That goes back to what we were saying, doesn't it, about that seamless journey. And equally, we're looking to extend that journey. So at the moment, Your Bellway is available to anyone who reserves a home. And that was always the first priority for it, in order to be a digital platform for things like your buying journey is on there. But there's also access to handover documents, user manuals, user guides, videos. So it's very much an experience for a buyer. But we're looking to extend that to the marketing journey as well. So if you interact in our sales offices and favourite houses, you'll get a login even sooner. You might have visited a couple of developments and started to narrow it down, and then a sales advisor can see the type of properties that you're looking at and what you're spending most time looking at. And we're also looking to create another area of interaction on the website, in the sense that a customer could book their own appointment to come in as well. So there'll be access to certain parts of the sales advisor's calendar available online, where they can pick the appointment that's most appropriate for them. Like I say, this extends the digital journey for the customer.
From what you've said, there's a lot of change going on at Bellway and in the industry at the moment. How are you both seeing that play out in your areas?
The biggest changes that we're dealing with at the moment is the product itself is evolving hugely with regards to future home standards, which are due to come in within the next 12 months in terms of build regulations, although we won't see it built out for 18 months, 2 years beyond that, really. We are required to, and we want to as a company, it's part of our sort of Better with Bellway initiative, is be more carbon conscious and build effectively carbon neutral homes. With that comes change. Our sales advisors have been selling homes with gas boilers for years and years and years. In this current circumstance, because we're introducing air source heat pumps, so photovoltaic, solar, electric vehicle charging. I mean, a lot of these have already been in the industry a long time and have come in pockets, but it's coming as a package now, and we're moving towards more timber frame as well. So if you put yourself in a sales advisor's shoes, what was a natural selling process for a product that you feel that you knew inside out, back to front, in the last 12 to 18 months, your knowledge has had to step up and up and up, and still is continually. So training is a big part of my role at the moment. How can we expect everyone to understand all of that? It's very, very technical led at the moment. But the industry itself is moving with this. So it is a bit of a moving feast, but we will get used to it and we will become more confident. That has had an effect on our floor plans and our layouts for the artisan collection. So we are having to redesign some of the house types at the moment to integrate all the technologies that are required to meet build regulations and the required SAT ratings. There's no easy answers to some of these things. It takes a little bit of a push, pull, back, forth to get the layout to where it absolutely needs to be. But my role on that panel is to push for the layout that, despite all the technology that needs to be in there, is it a layout you want to live in? Because the more we push for that, the easier the job is for the sales advisor.
And I think, it's exactly the same in terms of the training side of things. It's preparing the team for things that you don't know. A lot of the work that we're doing now is based on years and years of experience. So you bring in a new product, it's just making sure that teams are as prepared as they can be, and that we're again using the data to be able to capture any of those issues.
It's great to be part of a company that has been market leading with regards to the research that we've put into this. We've got the Energy House at Salford University, and there's data coming out of that to guide us. We keep bringing the suppliers back in, don't we, to keep talking to the teams. We've got new starters coming in all the time, haven't we? I'm proud to be part of Bellway because I think we really have put our first foot forward.
Can I just ask more for the purpose of listeners? Artisan collection, what is that?
So it's a group house type range that the divisions generally all build, and then there's what's called an enhancement toolkit, and they can use that to add bay windows or rafter feet or different architectural tweaks to satisfy local planners. If everybody's building a mason house type, it should be internally the same house type in lots of divisions. But there's plenty of choice in there. We never sacrifice customer choice in it. There is lots of choice in there, and it ranges from 1 and 2 bedroom apartments up to 5 bedroom homes.
What are the biggest opportunities and challenges that you see for Bellway as the market continues to change?
I think for me at the moment what we're seeing is affordability, especially for first time buyers, but we need to take that as an opportunity. We've got a strong team, everybody wanting to come to work and do a good job, which is fabulous, and we can use this slightly lower volume period to actually look at our processes and look at how we can continue to improve our sort of digital innovation. A lot of work going on at the moment with sort of IT improvements, opportunities to actually speak with the teams and get them working customer care side of things. There are some challenges, but I think, with that, it does bring real opportunity for us to continue to evolve.
With all the projects that sales have got going on at the moment with the digital transformation and various other projects that we've got, we will use the time wisely. However, there's nothing worse for a sales team than a difficult market. There's no greater pressure than not selling enough homes. There are opportunities as we analyse the market in the sense that the second-hand market listings are dropping. I think it's just due to economic impacts. But for that reason, supply is low. So we've got opportunities there to fill those gaps. I think the industry as a whole needs to deliver more new housing. We're not meeting those targets, so that's encouraging because that will come. And we know that difficult markets are cyclical. We will come out the other side. You find ways to navigate through it. That's where you need to be at a company that will find those unique selling points. And I think Bellway has a lot of those attributes. I would like to see on site is if sales rates aren't as high as we expected, we should be making sure that the public open space is the best it can be, using those resources into things that make that site look so desirable that if it was a choice between two, a customer would pick ours. And then it leaves that lovely legacy at the end of the customer journey that the site is somewhere that they were so glad they chose to live. So that we've got to And I'm sure our colleagues in the business all feel this way. But if we all work together to achieve that, then we have used the time wisely, haven't we?
What's the funniest or most unexpected customer request you've ever come across?
It's strange, really. I think some of the requests, they're not related to the service that we offer or, issues in the home. They tend to be things like, I had one example before where a customer actually wrote in a formal complaint because they wanted me to contact Amazon so that they knew where she lived because they couldn't find her address. So that was quite a strange one. I can deal with defects in the home, but the customers' relationships, over the time of dealing with them, you feel you are becoming part of the family. But I remember one particular one where I'd called up to give an update on some issues that were going on a complaint, and the lady was lovely, understood, thank you very much for your time. And then just at the end she said, actually, could you do me a favour? Could you ring my husband and just relay that to him, because I've not spoke to him since the weekend and I've still got no plans to talk to him. So, sometimes you get involved. It's more of a counselling service, but that's don't tend to be related to the actual sort of issues in the home.
We've had lots of breakups and sensitive situations to navigate, and people have continued to buy houses and not be a couple, which was really difficult to do. I had one complaint once that they'd moved in and we were surfacing the footpaths, and they were just really upset about the disruption that day, even though they'd been informed it was going to happen, and it was quite clear that the manholes were sticking up and it needed to be completed. It's very difficult to get around that situation, really. Actually, it's not a funny one, but one that sticks in my mind, probably the one I was closest to as a salesperson doing the job, was a chap who had like a respiratory disease, and he needed everything off the floor so that he could, and this was years and years ago, before we did sort of like wall hung toilets en masse and things like that, but everything, he needed to be able to have every floor cleaned to every corner. So it was the most challenging house I've had to adapt, with an additions file that I used to carry around with me. Like, this was like in the days of like everything being on paper, and I got so close to making sure that this house was as clean and as dust-free as possible. I felt like I was with him every step of the way. You could do those things because you had more time, kind of thing. But yeah, and that one just sticks in my mind as a very specific requirement, and we did it in the end. But at the time, I remember sourcing products that we could easily do now.
It just goes to show how much things have moved on, though.
Yeah.
Like, just 10, 15 years, you look, and actually we're in a totally different marketplace with totally different products and really different expectations. You both spend so much time focused on customers. I'm interested to know, if you were buying a new home, or a new Bellway home in particular, what would be the first thing that you would look for?
I mean, I think probably the same as a lot of our customers, location. Other than that, I would say, and this is probably based on a lot of the feedback, garden gradient tends to come up quite a bit, and just going around and the size, storage. I would use the feedback that we've had from customers ourselves, that they do tend to be two sort of key areas that come up.
I think for me, location definitely number one, but then orientation of plot. I'd be straight into specification as well. Everyone's priorities are different. That's why we have to target different groups for different products. But second-time buyers tend to be more specific because they've learnt something from their first experience or the first purchase. So they tend to be more specific about what they need, because they'll be like, oh, I didn't have a hallway in my last house. I had to go through the lounge to get to the kitchen, so I really want a hallway this time. So you just get that next layer of specifics. But this goes back to the land buying process and sales being really involved in that land buying process, because whilst we can't always choose exactly where the land is available, we can make sure the right product is on there for the likely buyers that are going to gravitate towards that location. So if there's no interaction at that early stage, you can sometimes end up in a situation where you've got the wrong product in the wrong location, and that doesn't work either.
Actually, can I ask a bit of a left field question? We're talking about the artisan house types. If you were buying one of our house types, which one would you pick?
The philosopher. the kitchen family diner at the back. It's not, I mean, don't get me wrong, the 5 beds are beautiful, but I think the Philosopher is just a really good house type for that sort of aspirational 4 bed. It's got a study, it's got 4 beautiful bedrooms, and aesthetically as well from the front, it has interest as well. It's got lovely curb appeal, so the Philosopher all day long for me.
I think I need to get out and see the Philosopher. She's definitely sold it. As I say, I think from my point of view, I tend to see pictures of a room, or
Yes, of course,
you know,
yeah.
I hear about developments, but yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, if somebody was going to give me the Draper or the Watchmaker, which are the 2 5 beds, I wouldn't complain.
The Watchmaker was going to be mine. It's as close as we come to being quirky. So my last question is, between the two of you, who would make the more demanding customer?
It's Louise.
She's
already said.
Yeah, I think, you know, I don't complain unless I absolutely have to, or unless something's, you know, broken or not as expected. I'm not that type of customer, but I think, like I say, I know what I want before I've sort of gone in. So, like, you know, when you go and look at cars or whatever, I struggle that, you know, I just wouldn't be swayed. So I think I would probably be the more demanding in that respect, and wanting it right, wanting that additions process would be vital for me as well. I think that's why I'm so keen to see it come through, and the team are working so hard on it. But that would be important for me if I sort of picture myself sat on the sofa trying to personalise the home and get the sockets where you want them and a bit more lighting and those kinds of things. That, you know, especially if it's your lifetime home or your big purchase. Well, they're all big purchases, but as in that sort of, you know, forever home potentially, you want to put that time and effort into it. So yeah, I think that I probably would give it a lot of thought, I'll put it that way. What we were is, as an industry, we weren't very good at certain things, and I think we've come a long way as an industry as well. So things like setting the scene from the outset and a customer understanding that a new build process is uncertain for a period of time, and then it starts to narrow down towards the end and you get that certainty with regards to your handover date. I think being open and honest about that process and any potential delays or anything like that, I would be more demanding if I didn't have that information, or if that wasn't made clear to me, or if I was promised something and it wasn't delivered. We've just got to be careful of under-delivering, particularly on timescales. That is an age-old issue that we've worked our way out of as an industry over the years, haven't we, and got better and better at. As a seller of a home, you've just got much more integrity if you've set the scene properly and you deliver as you go along with the customer and you keep them well informed along the way.
I think for me, you know, even with sort of interactions I have with other companies, I'm very keen to sort of manage that expectation myself, you know, what I need from them right at the start, and I think that sort of helps. I mean, I've never actually made a formal complaint ever, so having sort of dealing with complaints for sort of 30 odd years now, I can quite happily say I've never had to write to an ombudsman or raise a complaint formally through a company's complaint process. It's more around understanding that whoever is on the other end of the phone or whoever you're writing to, that they are human too. You don't have to be demanding if you can respect the people that you're dealing with.
Well, thank you both. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. And thank you all for listening. That's it from us today on Bricking It. Please tune in to the show notes for more information on our careers at Bellway. See you next time on Bricking It.